Hello everyone, it's your old pal Fromark here once again, battling a little bit of congestion as I do a Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Originally released on November 18th, 1996 for the Super Nintendo, and then later getting a 2005 re-release for the Game Boy Advance. I read that the Game Boy Advance version has a different soundtrack and that there's some different levels added to the game. Although I'm not entirely sure about that, because I've never played that version of the game. Jub. Jubs. But anyway, this time you're playing as Dixie Kong and the new character Kiddy Kong, who might as well just be a slower, more annoying version of Donkey Kong. I really wish they would have added Donkey Kong as a playable character for this game. That would have been neat. Note the Nintendo 64 behind, right there in the corner by the television there, as the 64 would have been. I don't know if it was already out at this point, but it's still pretty neat that that's there. But yeah, Wrinkly Kong tells us about the save feature and gives some advice. Seen that picture of Cranky Kong on the wall. And now it's time to go to Funky's Rentals. Now Funky Kong makes a return from Funky's Flights. This time he's somewhat of a mechanic, and he will build like motorboats, hovercrafts, all kinds of cool stuff if you give him the parts after battling certain bosses. And you just gotta sit through a little bit of dialogue at first, no worries there. But now you get the selection for the motorboat. And now I will slowly make my way to the first world. Actually, no, I'm gonna show something off first. Yeah, this is one of the hidden caves where you free the banana birds. And you do a Simon Says kind of game here. Which these are fun little challenges. Now, I don't go out of my way to free all the banana birds. I will say that already, folks, because I don't know where most of those are, and I didn't feel bothered to look it up. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and show that one off for showing it off's sake, and go to Lake Orangutanga. Orangutanga, I like the sound of that. But it's time for some alliterations in Lakeside Limbo. I like the way this game opens. I like the opening levels. I feel like it's very colorful, and I just like the design. I feel like it's a much more aesthetically pleasing opening level than the pirate ship from DKC 2. But it's no jungle hijinks from DKC 1. So yeah, my first experiences with playing this game, it's really hard for me to pinpoint, although I do want to say it had to have been around the end of 2011 when my family got their first computer and I finally got access to emulators, and I was able to start playing a backlog of Super Nintendo games I'd never gotten around to. One of them also being Donkey Kong Country 2. But this one, it took a while for it to really grow on me. I mean, it's a decent enough game, but there's some gripes. I got some gripes. It's not a 10 out of 10 by any means. I like these little flagpoles at the end of each level. They change color depending on who beats the level. If it's pink, it's Dixie Kong. If it's blue, it's Kiddy Kong. And this level's kind of neat as well. You just gotta look out for the rats. Or squeaks, or whatever those guys are. And you gotta pull the levers to make the doors open up. And then just zoom on through before they can close. But yeah, as I had mentioned with the banana birds, this is not a 102 or 103 whatever % run of the game. Although I do show off all the levels. I do go out of my way to get to the Lost World, and although I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, gotta ride the elevator going up. spin around the barrel. But yeah, it was probably around 2011 when I finally got to play this for the first time. I thought the first level was pretty cool, and I didn't really get around to playing it all the way through until a few years later when I finally got it for the Super Nintendo. And then I could finally sit down and actually play through it. I went out of my way a few years back. This would have been around late in 2019, early 2020. I went out of my way to play through the DKC Trilogy. Although it's not a trilogy at this point since we got Returns and Tropical Freeze, which I doubt I will get around to recording those games as I'm not very familiar with them. I've never played all the way through either one of those games, though I do have them. It's just one of those many to-do list games. I like that angry building where the boss is. You can kind of see the angry face. Now, with the hub worlds in this game, I feel like it's kind of a slog sometimes. Like, I just want to get from level to level with ease, and they turn it into a bit of a complex thing here. Now, I don't hate hub worlds, it's just sometimes I just don't agree with them, I guess. Now, when it comes to hub worlds, I really like the Sonic Advance 3 hub worlds. Any excuse to talk about Sonic, of course. Got these angry green barrels that pace back and forth. Oh, gotta look out for them fish. Which some of them have noses, like colored nose ball things. It's supposed to be like a pun on clownfishes, I guess. It's kind of weird to me how fishes is word, like, you don't say fish for multiple fish. But we don't have deers, we don't have mooses, we don't have mouses. Wait. Yeah, people call them mice. I don't know, sometimes English is weird. But anyways, yeah, see those giant bee barrels, those are bonus areas. Now, keeping in mind if you want to complete the game properly, you want to go through all the bonus levels, get all the bonus coins, get all the DK coins hidden throughout each level as well. However, there are workarounds. But yeah, moving through this Lakeside Limbo. Or no, that was the first level. Yeah, moving through the Lakeside Limbo and then moving through Lake Orangutanga. Now it's time for a snow level. Which I guess brings me to another slight gripe about this game. The levels look good, and the levels are cool and all, but it just feels really inconsistent and jarring at times. Like, each world has, like, different stuff going on. But let's show off a bonus level. But yeah, it's kind of strange to be in a snow level outside of the snow world. There is a snow world later in the game, though. It's like there's several lake levels that are outside of the first world, and it just feels like all the landscapes are kind of inconsistent from level to level. I guess it's not that big of a deal, though. Yeah, give me that coin there. A lot of the enemies got some strange redesigns, too. At least they kept the sound. That's one of my favorite sound effects in the entire trilogy. That and the one where in the first DKC game where you jump on those beaver enemies and they're like, oh. I am amused easily by silly noises. I got all the Kong letters. Now, I do build up quite a slew of lives. Eventually I start running into some difficult levels. Hey, Murky Mill, keeping on with them awesome alliterations. But yes, bear with me, folks. I've been cleaning up my property, and I just got my house down at the time of recording this a few days ago. And, well, the ancient house on my property that I had to knock down and burn and all that stuff. Gotta make room for something new. But it wasn't without a cost, as I breathed a lot of nasty stuff in, and mold and fiberglass, probably a little bit of asbestos, and all that not fun stuff. I'm hoping I just have a little bit of a seasonal allergy on top of it. I'm just very congested. I'm sure I'll be alright though. But hopefully it's not something I pay for many years down the road. Who knows? I'm not a fan of this elephant. This is my least favorite of the animal buddies, and you see why right there. Because he or she, maybe it's an it, I don't know. This elephant's a bitch. It's a scared little bitch. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Because it runs away at the sight of those mouse squeakers. And it's like, you're an elephant. You could just stomp on them. It makes no sense. I know, video game logic and all, but man, you're an elephant. Come on. At least some of the other animal buddies from the previous games show up later on. Some of my favorites. Although there are some that I wish were present in 2 and 3, like the ostrich. I like that one. I wish they would have brought back the bouncy snack guy from DKC 2 for this one. But yeah, those buzz bees, they've got a redesign as well. They don't look anything like the zingers from the first 2 games. These ones are more like robo-zingers or something. They got those little buzzsaw blades. Well, at least I got more Kong letters. Gotta go back and get the barrel because, you know, elephants kinda useless. But at least there's one stage toward the end of the game that the elephant doesn't bother me so much. But once again, getting ahead of myself a little bit. I don't really know for sure. The first time I beat this game had to have been around 2014 or 15 though. And if I were to rank the trilogy, in my personal opinion, it would probably go 2, 1, 3. 1's a decent game. It's just a little too brown and gray for my liking, and the music sometimes, I mean, it fits the vibe, but sometimes it's a little unsettling. Speaking of unsettling, the boss theme in this game kind of unnerves me sometimes because a distorted version of it shows up on the anti-piracy screen if you're playing on the original cartridge. I don't like that screen. I think that was my proper introduction to DKC3 was I was watching videos about creepy error messages and game over screens. And you just have this one where Dixie and Kitty are just looking all sad while this distorted boss theme plays.